The next section I want to talk about is actually metering and how you can set up the meters on the console. I can do this in the main panel of the 401. If I select main panel and select meters page, you can see it comes up with the very first page. Now there's not a lot on this page. This is your preset page. You can actually put a whole bunch of meter presets in here so that you can have your metering set up any way you want. I can do that by hitting the configure button. That's the CNFG button down here. It brings up this page, and here I can choose anything that I want to be put onto any meter. And how I do that is I can select anything. Let's say for example I want to put channel 1 here. All I have to do is select channel 1 and select the wave key on any strip that I want. Here I just selected it on the center section just as an example. Now I have channel 1's meter there. I can set this up, the console up, however I want. I can do a dual meter where I can have the swap layer on the top and the main layer on the bottom of the meters. I can set it up to where I have all of my group faders here or all of my mix buses in the center section. It just depends on how you want to set up the console. So now let's say I want to set up a different metering on these two modules here. And on this module I want to put the split metering like we talked about before, where I can have the main layer on the bottom and the swap layer on top. And on this section here in the center I'm going to put different meters. We'll choose those in a second. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my center section here and select dual because I want to put dual meters up. The next thing I want to do is say, okay, I want to have specific channels or specific strips. I can do that by saying I want fader, the main layer, or the swap layer. In this case, I'm going to go to main layer. So I'm going to select main layer, and then I'm going to go to my first strip here and select the wave key. Just by tapping on the wave key, I now am setting up a dual meter to show both meters, both the main and the swap. Now right now, both meters are showing the main layer because that's what I've selected. Now I want to go to upper. So I'm going to select my upper row here, and I'm going to say I want to put the swap layer there. So what I'm going to do is go back to that first one I started with, hit the wave key, and just keep going. And as you can see, I now have my swap layer. So as you look at the metering up here, it says channel 32 main and also channel 64 swap. So that's how we set up a dual metering. Now let's move to the center section. Let's say that I want to put all of my group buses here, or 8 group buses across the center here. What I'm going to do now is go to my buses to where it says group. I'm going to come back and say I want to show a full meter. So I'm going to say go to full. I'm then going to select group 1 and I'm going to put it there. I'm going to select group 2 and put it there. And I can do that across the entire console or across this entire section. What I'm going to do is go back to the preset page. That's the PSET. And then I'm going to say store. I want to store this in a particular preset. I'm going to say store, select a register, doesn't matter which one. It'll come up and say now you can name it. I'll name it if I want to with the keyboard underneath. Tap on it again. Now I have 2 different presets. I can go between those presets very easily. So that's how you set up metering on the console. I want to move over a little bit in the 401 section, talk about bus masters just briefly so that we can talk about the meters in the bus master section or in the 401 section. Bus masters are actually all the stereo buses or 5.1 buses, mixed buses that you've created. Also group buses and aux masters. They're also here as well in the center section. We'll get to those in a few minutes to show you what those are. What I want to show you on the mix buses is that as far as metering wise, if I want to look at a different mix bus, all I have to do is just tap on the bus that I want to look at. So in other words, I have 2 buses set up here, a 5.1 and a stereo. Right now I've got the 5.1 metering up on the meters in this 401. If I want to look at the stereo, all I have to do is just tap on the stereo bus, and now I can see that stereo metering. So it's a quick way for you to look at the metering on all your mix buses. If I want to change my control room metering, to match whatever stereo bus or 5.1 bus I'm looking at, I do that in the control room output page. That's right above your control room source page. What this is basically the output of your control room here. On the right hand side of this page is where I can set up what I'm looking at on my control room meters. I can either look at a 5.1 meter, I can look at a LCRS surround, I can look at a stereo, which is pretty much where you're going to leave it for most broadcast applications for the time being. So when you come into this page, you're going to select control room output, you're going to turn off all your speakers except for your left and right, and you're going to select stereo. That gives you a stereo meter. More than likely you're going to have a stereo mix bus. You're going to select that and you're ready to go.